I'm so happy to go off stage that this Jesus comes down and shame.
It was 9:30 on Christmas Eve as I crossed the long entrance hall of my house on my way from the dining room where we had just enjoyed the first of the happy festive meals towards the drawing room and the fire around which my family were now assembled. I paused, and then, as I am often known to do in the course of an evening, I went to the front door, opened it, and stepped outside.
This is intended to be of interest, I take it.
Why, yes, of course.
Then why announce it as if it were the fat stock prices?
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Let us see this entrance hall. Let us see this house. Let us taste and smell this happy, festive meal.
But that's impossible.
No, sir. Draw on your emotions and on our imaginations.
Forgive me, I'm not an actor.
No. Again. Try it again.
It was 9:30 on Christmas Eve as I crossed the long entrance hall of my house on my way from the dining room where we had just enjoyed the first of the happy festive meals.
You will excuse me. I understand that what you read holds particular significance for you, that it is possible it will cause you some distress. But I implore you, sir, have sympathy for your audience.
Sir?
Just now we are alone here in this theatre. These rows of empty seats are unlikely to protest as you hum and mumble through your lines. But believe me, sir, speak them thus before an audience and you'll see them one by one begin to expire with boredom.
It was 9:30 on Christmas Eve as I crossed the long entrance hall of my house on my way from...
Entrance hall?
That's right,
Why long?
because it is.
Have sympathy for your audience. Are they interested in its length?
I apologize, I'm clearly wasting your time.
Stay where you are.
This is a foolish adventure I never should have come.
You did, however. And you have paid me for the day. I have no intention of not giving you full value.
Please,
Sir, attempt to leave and I shall leap upon you and compel you to recite the sonnets in their entirety.
I would...
Sir, we shall make an Irving of you yet.
I have no desire to be an Irving. All that I wish, implore is that this tale of mine be told and laid to rest, God willing, so that I may sleep without nightmares.
Which is why you came to me.
Yes,
As one practiced in these things.
yes.
As one who will impart to you the rudiments of public speaking, who will offer advice as to expression and delivery, and above all, instill in you the confidence to stand up there and make a go of it.
Confidence.
Yes, confidence. Now then, 9:30, Christmas Eve. Excitement, anticipation, crisp air, crackling fires, children asleep with stockings by their beds. A happy family, content, delighted, and above all, at peace.
It was 9:30 on Christmas Eve as I crossed the entrance hall of my house on my way. It was 9:30 on Christmas Eve. It was 9:30 on Christmas Eve.
What time was it?
9:30.
Not on Christmas Eve, by any chance. Good gracious.
I'm sorry, this clearly isn't a success.
You see, it doesn't come in 5 minutes. You think to stand up there, recite your tale, and have your audience hang upon your words, as if that's all it takes. In which case, why did you come to me for help? So that I'll say, yes, wonderful, without a flaw? You see, sir, performing is an art acquired with tears and time. I would appreciate it, sir, if every time I offered some advice, you would not take up your manuscript and make a stalk out to the theatre.
Advice?
Yes, advice.
Sounds more like reproval.
Oh, I promise you that as the day goes on, it's likely to sound more so.
May I just say, it is not a performance that I wish to give. No, I think we're at a misunderstanding in that respect. I wish to speak it. No more. For my family only. For those who need to know. I'm not a performer. I've no pretensions to be, no inclination, but those most terrible things that happen to me, I have to let them be told. For my health and reason.
You say you're not a performer?
Oh, truly.
In your hand is a manuscript which will take, on estimate, 5 hours to read. Should you, as an acknowledged non-performer, drone at your audience for longer than it takes to play King Lear, I trust you will be unsurprised if by the end of it they are either fast asleep or at your throat.
5 hours?
At least.
Oh, good heavens, I had no idea. 5 hours cannot possibly. It must be told. I cannot carry the burden of it any longer. It must be told.
It was 9:30 on Christmas Eve. As I opened my front door and stepped outside, I smelled at once, and with a lightening heart, that there had been a change in the weather. All the previous week, we had had a thin, chilling rain and a mist that lay low about the house and over the countryside. My spirits have, for many years, been excessively affected by the weather. But now, the dampness and fogs had stolen away like thieves into the night. The sky was pricked over with stars, and the full moon rimmed with a halo of frost. Upstairs, 3 children slept with stockings by their beds. There was something in the air tonight. That my peace of mind was about to be disturbed, and memories awakened that I had thought forever dead, I had naturally no idea. That I should ever again renew my acquaintance with mortal dread and terror of spirit would have seemed at that moment impossible. I took a last look at the frosty darkness, sighed contentedly, and went in to the happy company of my family. Across the room stood the tree, candlelit and bedecked, and beneath it were the presents. There were vases of white chrysanthemums, and in the centre of the room, a pyramid of gilded fruit and a bowl of oranges stuck all about with cloves, their spicy scent filling the air to be the very aroma of Christmas. I became aware that I had interrupted the others in a lively conversation. "We are telling ghost stories," they said, "just the thing for Christmas Eve." And so they were, vying with each other to tell the horridest, most spine-chilling tale. They told of dripping stone walls and uninhabited castles, of ivy-clad monastery ruins by moonlight, of dank charnel houses and overgrown graveyards, howlings and shriekings, groanings and scuttlings. This was a sport, a high-spirited and harmless game among young people. I did not want to seem a killjoy, old, stodgy and unimaginative. I turned my head so as none of them should see my discomfiture. "And now it's your turn." "Oh no," I said, "nothing from me." "You must know at least one ghost story. Everyone knows one." "Ah, yes. Yes, indeed. All the time I had been listening to their ghoulish, lurid inventions. The one thought that had been in my mind, and the only thing I possibly could have said was no. No, you have none of you any idea. This is all nonsense, fantasy. It is not like this. Nothing so blood-curdling and decrepit and crude, not so childish. The truth is quite other, and altogether more terrible. I'm sorry to disappoint you, I said, but I have no story to tell, and I went quickly from the room and from the house. I walked in a frenzy of agitation, my heart pounding, my breathing short. I had always known that the experience would never leave me, that it was woven into my very fibers. Yes, I have a story, a true story. A story of haunting and evil, fear and confusion, horror and tragedy. But it was not a story to be told around the fireside on Christmas Eve. And then I thought you might recite the piece from Hamlet.
Hamlet?
Yes, some say that ever against that season comes.
Oh, yes, of course. You then, for the purpose of the reading, become me.
Quite so. And you, for the purpose of the performance, you draw on your remembrance, to be the people that you met, those that played their part in your story.
Sir, I am not a performer.
Sir, I know.
And this must not be entertainment. Those most horrible events will not be used as amusement or diversion. I insist, sir.
And I insist that you consider your audience. No matter how horrible, if your tale is to be heard, it must be offered in a form that is remotely palatable. You have come to me for advice and assistance. You must trust me. So, from here, if you please. Let us show that we mean business, huh? So, your cue is fear and confusion, horror and tragedy, but it was not a story to be told around the fireside on Christmas Eve.
Some say that if against that season comes, wherein our Saviour's birth is celebrated, this bird of dawning singeth all night long, and then they say no spirit dare stir abroad. The nights are wholesome, then no planets strike, no fairy takes, no witch hath power to charm, so hallowed and so gracious is that time.
Those lines came into my head as if from heaven, and a great peace came upon me. I seemed to recall that the way to banish an old ghost that continues its hauntings is to exorcise it. Well then, mine should be exercised. I should tell my tale. I should set it down on paper, in every care and in every detail. I would write my own ghost story, and then, so that they might know and that I might be forever purged of it, relive it through the telling. I prayed a heartfelt, simple prayer for peace of mind and for strength and steadfastness to endure while I completed the most agonizing task. The first part, the writing, I had done. Now comes the telling. I pray for God's protection on us all. Good morning.
Good morning.
I trust you slept well.
Thank you, yes.
No nightmares.
Not too bad, I thank you.
Oh, so we are not clear yet.
I'm afraid I never will be.
We'll have you playful as a lamb again, you mark my words. Did you study as I asked you?
As best I could. You must forgive me, this is not my forte.
We'll make an Irving of you yet.
I have no wish to be an Irving.
No, but for the sake of our audience, let us at least try.
This audience you speak of, it is to just be my family and friends. You don't intend to make a public spectacle.
Good heavens, no. Your family, your friends, perhaps the old theatre manager. Now, see. London. Interior of the offices of Bentley, Hay, Sweetman, and Bentley. And I have a little surprise for you.
What's that?
Thank you, Mr. Bunce.
Recorded sound.
Precisely. A remarkable invention, is it not?
Extraordinarily true to life. I could swear I was attempting to negotiate a London street in thundering traffic.
And so too, Mr. Kipps, shall our audience. No need to speak of cars and trams and horses, smoke and grime. No need, in fact, for words. Just let the recorded sound be heard, and they are there, transported.
But this scene is to be in an office, is it not? Then why do we have London's traffic flowing through an office?
Why, indeed. Mr. Bunce?
Remarkable.
Yes, the miracle of science, the hands of Mr. Bunce. He is particularly good at this sort of thing. So, now then, to work. I am you, and you are your clerk. I enter briskly, and you are already at work.
You must forgive me, this is not
Your forte, quite. And it won't become so unless you attempt it. Begin. Just as we went through it all last night. I thank you. Ooh, a foul day, Terence.
Yes, Mr. Kipps.
November. The dreariest month of the year. It's lowering in spirits.
Yes, Mr. Kipps. This fog, Darrell.
The thickest of London pea supers. A yellow fog. A filthy, evil-smelling fog. A fog that choked and blinded, smeared and stained. I worked away at the dull details of the conveyancing of property leases, forgetful for the moment of it pressed against the window like a furred beast at my back.
Mr. Bentley wishes to see you, sir.
Straight away.
Straight away, sir, if you would.
That sniff incidentally occurred approximately every 20 seconds, for which reason Tones was confined in general to a cubby hole in an outer lobby.
What now?
Well, now you become Bentley.
Oh, yes, of course. Do I do all right? Will it pass?
Excellent. We will make an
Will you be quiet about Irving?
Apologies. Carry on.
Sit ye down, Arthur, sit ye down. I don't believe I ever told you about Mrs. Drablow. Mrs. Drablow? Mrs. Alice Drablow, Eelmarsh House, dead, don't you know?
Ah.
Yes, I inherited Mrs. Drablow from my father. The family's had the business with this firm for,
Yes.
a good age, 87.
And it's her will you have there, I take it.
Mrs. Drablow was, as they say, a rumman. Have you ever heard of the Nine Lives Causeway?
No, never.
Or of the Eel Marsh and Church?
No, sir.
Or I suppose ever visited that county at all?
I'm afraid not.
Living there, anyone might become ram.
Well, I've only the haziest idea of where it is.
Then, my boy, go home and pack your bags and take the afternoon train from King's Cross, taking a Guinness crew, and then it's on then it's to the little market town of Criffin Gifford. After that, it's a wait for the tide.
The tide?
No, you can only cross the causeway at low tide. Then it's on to Eel Marsh and to the house.
Mrs. Drabner's.
When the tide comes in, you're cut off until it's low again. Remarkable place. Years since I visited, of course. My father took me. She didn't greatly care for visitors.
Was she a widow?
So it's quite early in her marriage.
Children?
Children. According to everything we've been told about Mrs. Drablow, no, there were no children.
Did she have a great deal of money or land?
She owned her house, of course, and then there was a few small properties in Criffin Gifford, shops with tenants, that sort of thing. There's a poor sort of farm, half underwater, and then there's the usual small trusts and investments.
Well, then it all sounds pretty straightforward.
I dare say that it does it not?
May I ask why I want to go there?
To represent this firm at our client's funeral.
Yes, of course. I will be very glad to go up to Mrs. Drablow's funeral, naturally.
There's a bit more to it than that.
The WIB.
I'll let you have the details to read on your journey, but principally you're to go through Mrs. Drablow's papers, the private papers, whatever they may be, wherever they may be, and to bring them to this office.
I see.
Mrs. Drablow was somewhat disorganized, shall I say? It may take you a while.
A day or two.
At least a day or two, Arthur.
Will there be anyone there to help me?
I've hired a local man. He'll be in touch with you. He'll be dealing with it all.
Presumably she had friends, or even neighbours.
Eel Marsh House is far from any neighbour.
And I suppose being a Rumman, she never made any friends.
Come, Arthur. Look on the bright side. Treat the whole thing as a jaunt. At least it'll take you out of all of this for a day or two. You should arrive in Criffin Gifford later this evening, and there's a small hotel you can put up at for tonight. The funeral is tomorrow morning at 11.
I had to inform my landlord that I'd be away for a couple of nights, and to scribble a note to my fiancée, Stella, to whom I'd hoped to be married the following year. And after that, I was to catch the train to a remote corner of England until, very recently, I had barely heard.
The Drablow papers, sir.
Thank you. You know, I must say, Thames, for all it's a strange part of the world I'm going to, that it's a relief to be leaving this appalling fog and unhealthy atmosphere. And do you still feel unsure whether to go through with this?
Oh, yes, of course.
In spite of having performed as you just have done?
There are so many things that we cannot represent. How are we to represent the door, the sea, the causeway, house, the pony and trap?
With imagination, Mr. Kipps. Ours and our audiences.
I would be obliged if you would inform me how imagination will create a pony and trap on this stage.
Here, trap. Here, pony. What could be clearer?
It doesn't instantly say trap to me.
Yeah, but you ride it, don't you? And with the recorded sound of a pony's hooves, I promise you, nothing in the world can make it seem any clearer.
Except a pony and trap.
Let us not be finicky, Mr. Kipps.
I do own the recorded sound is splendid. It was a great surprise to me.
And it does not stop there. Tomorrow we are on the train with even more surprises. So, you will study these, and you will see that I have divided up the lines again, and I have cut much of the descriptive passages.
But
Recorded sound, Mr. Kipps. Recorded sound.
nothing could raise his spirits more than the sight of a great cavern of a railway station, glowing like the interiors of a blacksmith's forge. Beyond the windows it is quickly dark, and when the carriage blinds are drawn, all is as closed and cosy as some lamplit study. This is Crewe station, every change, yeah? At Crewe, he changes with ease and continues on his journey, noticing that the track begins to veer east as well as heading north. It is only when he comes to change again onto the branch line at the smaller station of Holmbury that he begins to be less comfortable. For here, the air is turning a great deal colder, with a foul rain with gusts from the east on its breath. And the train in which he's to spend the last hour of his journey is ancient and comfortless.
Excuse me. Sorry, sorry. Yeah. It's a poor night. It seems I have exchanged one kind of poor weather for another. I left London with the grip of an appalling fog, and up here it seems cold enough for snow.
It's not snow. The wind will blow itself out and take the rain with it by morning.
Oh, well, I'm very glad to hear it.
But if you think you've escaped the fogs by coming up here, you're mistaken. We get bad frets in this part of the world.
Frets?
Aye, sea frets, sea mists. They roll in a minute from sea to land. 1 minute it's as clear as a June day, the next, terrible. But if you're staying in Cretan, you won't see the worst of it.
Oh, well, I stay there tonight. It's the Gifford Arms. I expect to go out to see something of the marshes later.
Mrs. Drablow. Drablow. You don't tell me you're a relative.
I am her solicitor.
Ah, down for the funeral.
I am.
You'll be about the only one that is.
I gather she was something of a recluse. Well, that sometimes is the way with old ladies. They turn inwards and grow eccentric. I suppose it comes from living alone.
I dare say that it does, Mr.
Kipps. Arthur Kipps.
Samuel Daly. And when you live alone in such a place as that, it becomes a good deal easier.
Oh, come, you're not going to start telling me strange tales of lonely houses.
No. No, I am not.
Well, all I can say is it's a shame when someone lives for 87 years and can't count upon a few friendly faces to gather together at a funeral. How far have we to go?
12 miles. It's a far-flung part of the world. We don't get many visitors.
I suppose because there's nothing much to see.
It all depends on what you mean by nothing. But you'll find everything hospitable enough in Cretan, for all it's a plain little place. We tuck ourselves in with our backs to the wind and carry on with our business. Oh, should you need anyone?
Thank you. I doubt I shall. Whatever practical help I need, I'm sure the local agents will provide, and I don't intend to be here for more than a day or two, so. But thanks all the same. The Gifford Arms was as comfortable a hotel as I could have ever wished to find. My spirits rose, and I began to feel more like a man on holiday than one who had come to attend a funeral. My dearest Stella.
Are you a friend of Mr. Daly's then, sir?
No.
Ah, not meaning to pry, only saw you arrive in his car.
I met him on the train. He was kind enough to bring me here from the station.
He's a large landowner, is Mr. Daly. Buying up half the county.
Oh, well, if that's the case, I may end up doing business with him myself before the year is out. I am a solicitor looking after the affairs of Mrs. Alice Stradlow of Lemarsh House. Perhaps you knew of her.
I knew of her.
Well, it would seem that her estate may come up for sale in due course.
I doubt whether even Mr. Samuel Daly would go so far.
I'm afraid I don't quite understand. I gather there was a farm a few miles out of the town.
Huggets! 50 acres and half of it under flood for the best part of the year. Huggets is nothing.
Well, what about Eel Marsh House and all the land surrounding it? Would any of that be practicable for farming?
No, sir.
Well, might not Mr. Daly simply wish to add a little more to his empire? You imply he is that sort of man.
Maybe he is, but let me tell you, you won't find anybody, not even Mr. Samuel Daly, having anything to do with it. I wish you good night, sir. We can take breakfast at any time tomorrow morning to your convenience.
There seems to be a propensity for conversations to hang in the air whenever Mrs. Drabblow's name is mentioned. People close up, change the subject, or leave the room. I suppose it's inevitable. These small, out-of-the-way communities have only themselves to look to for whatever drama and mystery they can extract out of life. And I would think it's not unfair to say that country people, particularly those who inhabit the remoter corners of our island, are rather more superstitious, more gullible, more slow-witted perhaps, but certainly more unsophisticated than those of us who encounter the metropolitan experience every day. Doubtless in such a place as this, with its eerie marshes, moaning winds, sudden fogs and lonely houses, any old woman might be looked at askance. Once upon a time, after all, she would have been branded as a witch. Admit it, Mr. Kipps, secretly you are enjoying this.
I am grateful to you for your assistance, though I cannot say that I am enjoying it.
Mr. Kipps, every day you have come here, you have grown in stature and confidence.
But this is merely practice, what you call rehearsal. I fear it will be different altogether before an audience.
Mr. Kipps, sir.
Yes?
For all you deny it, you damn well will be an urban. Now then, tomorrow I should like to work straight through to the end.
In one,
If we are able. How does that seem?
I have a horror of it. Watching you, it's as if I relive it all, moment by moment. Though you will never suffer as I did. I must always tell myself that.
Well, never think that I don't feel for you. I am a child myself.
You have.
A daughter. She is 4.
Well and happy.
I thank Providence.
Love her. Take care of her. Well, tomorrow then. Yes, let us work to the end. And all being well, I shall have a surprise for you.
Excellent. You have a theatrical's instincts, Mr. Kipps, if not his enthusiasm. Till tomorrow then.
Mr. Kipps,
Yes.
Mr. Jerome, your agent here.
Oh. How do you do?
I trust you spent a comfortable night.
I can't remember when I last slept so well.
Good, good. It's a sad business that brings you here.
Yes, of course. Though I never knew Mrs. Drabble.
No, of course. I don't mean to rush you, Mr. Kipps, but if we were to step out now, we'd be about right for time.
Yes, of course. I must say, my first impressions of your little town are entirely favourable, Mr. Jerome.
It's a busy day for us. Market day. We come from all over.
Though I wish we could have experienced it under happier circumstances. Our funeral garb seems to be at odds with the prevailing mood of the place. Is it just me, or are we the subject of scrutiny, Mr. Jerome? Look, those men over there. They turned away when they caught my arm. And there.
It's only a short walk to the graveyard, Mr. Gibbs.
I feel like something alive. Oh well, I suppose it's only natural. We must look like a pair of gloomy ravens amongst all this, mustn't we? You and I, Mr. Jarrell, are the spectres at the feast. I take it she is to be buried in the churchyard.
That is so, yes.
Is there a family grave?
No, at least not here. Not in this churchyard.
Oh, someplace else.
The area is no longer in use. It is unsuitable.
I'm afraid I don't quite understand.
I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh shall I see God, whom I shall see for myself, and mine eyes shall behold, and not another. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for trumpets will sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and shall be changed. For this corruptible must be put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? But thanks be to God, which giveth the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Man that is born of woman hath but a short time to live, and is full of misery. He cometh up, and is cut down like a flower. He fleeth as it were a shadow, and never continueth in one stay. In the midst of life we are in death, of whom may we seek for succor, but of thee, O Lord, who for our sins art justly displeased. For as much as it hath pleased Almighty God, of his great mercy, to take unto himself the soul of our dear sister here departed, we therefore commit her body to the ground. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, and dust to dust.
A very poignant ceremony. Tell me, that woman. I do hope she can find her own way home. She looked so dreadfully unaware. Who was she? The young woman. Behind you in the church, and then in the graveyard here, just a few yards from us.
A young woman.
Yes, with the skin stretched over her bones, I could scarcely bear to look at her. She was tall. She wore a bonnet type of hat, I suppose to cover as much as she could of her face, the poor thing. Is there anything the matter? You look unwell.
I did not see a young woman.
But surely you must... Look, there she is again. Not to... Oh! Mr. Jarrell, I would be obliged if you would loosen your grip a little. Perhaps we can walk a few steps back to the church path. I saw a bench in there. You can rest and recover while I go for help. I can't.
No!
But my dear man!
No! I apologize. It was nothing. A passing faintness. I think it would be best if you would accompany me back to my offices in Penn Street, off the square.
If you are sure.
Quite sure. Come.
Well, you had me quite worried just now.
I apologize. It was nothing. Nothing at all.
Very well. I gather you are to take me over to your Marsh house later.
No. No, I shall not go there. You can cross over any time after 1 o'clock. Keckwick will come for you. He's always been the go-between to that place. I take it you have a key. You will find Mr. Keckwick perfectly obliging.
Oh, good.
Though not very communicative.
Oh, I'm getting very used to that. I'm sorry, Mr. Kipps. Mr. Kipps, I have to stop. You said you had a surprise for me. I had no idea that it would be that.
No?
That was the most remarkable coup de théâtre I have ever experienced.
No, really.
I am devastated. Devastated. How did you manage it?
Well, I worked hard. As you said, time and tears.
But from nowhere, Mr. Kipps. It was miraculous. How on earth did you go about it?
Oh?
Okay, I understand. One must appreciate the magic. One must not ask how the magic works. But I do appreciate it. I insist, sir, I do. Truly remarkable. And terrifying.
Well, you are very kind, sir.
And you, sir, are a true theatrical. Do we proceed?
If you wish.
And will there be any more surprises?
I will do my best, though I cannot be altogether confident. Master Cat!
Yes, indeed. You're not Mr. Keckwick by any chance. Oh, that's delightful. I was expecting a car. This is a remarkable corner of the world, Mr. Keckwick. Sky, and only a strip of land. This must be how those great landscape painters saw Holland and all the area around Norwich, don't you think? No clouds at all today, though I can see how magnificently that huge, brooding area of sky would look with grey, scudding rain and storm clouds lowering over the estuary. It is quite startlingly beautiful, the wide, bare openness of it all. This sense of space, this vastness of the sky. I would have travelled 1,000 miles to see this. You know, I have never imagined such a place. And that, I take it, is the 9 Lives Causeway. Ahead, the water gleamed like metal, lying only shallowly over the sand. A narrow track led directly forwards, and I could see how, when the tide came in, that it would become completely submerged and untraceable. Then, I looked ahead and saw, as if rising out of the water itself, a tall, gaunt house of grey stone with a slate roof. It stood like some lighthouse or beacon or Martello tower, the most astonishingly situated building I had ever seen or could ever conceivably have imagined. It was isolated, uncompromising, and also, I thought, handsome. For a while I simply sat looking about me in amazement. I felt a strange sensation, an excitement mingled with alarm. But I was not afraid. Of what could I be afraid in that rare and beautiful place? The wind, the marsh birds crying, reeds and still water. How long will the causeway remain passable?
Till 5.
Listen, I would think it quite unfair to have you be driving to and fro twice a day. I think it would be best if I were to bring my bags and some food and drink and stay a couple of nights here. That way I shall finish my work a great deal more efficiently and you will not be troubled. I'll return with you later this afternoon, and then tomorrow, perhaps, you could bring me back as early as possible, according to the times. Or perhaps you'd prefer to wait here for me now, though I shall be a couple of hours. You know it suits you best.
And so, imagine, if you would, this stage, an island, this isle, a causeway, running like a ribbon from the salt marsh to the sea, the only link between the gaunt grey house and land. Imagine Arthur Kipps alone there now, a tiny figure, lost in the immensity and vastness of the Martian sky, dwarfed by the house, alone amidst the mysterious shimmering beauty. He feels the key in his pocket, but does not go inside. Instead, he walks away from the house towards some fragmentary ruins of some old church or chapel. To the west, on his right hand, the sun has already begun to dip down into a great golden wintry red ball. To the east, sea and sky have darkened slightly into a uniform leaden grey. Imagine a graveyard. Imagine 50 gravestones, most of them leaning or completely fallen, covered with lichens, mosses, scoured pale by the salt wind, stained with years of driving rain. Names and dates are now barely decipherable. Imagine him grow conscious of the cold, of the bleakness and eeriness of the spot, decide to leave, to go back to the house, to switch on a good many lights, to light a fire, now see him turn.
Beyond the wall, the grass gave way within a yard or two to sand and shallow water. The marshes and salt flats stretched away until they merged with the rising tide. I could see for miles. And yet there was no sign at all of the woman in black, nor any place in which she possibly could have concealed herself. I did not believe in ghosts.
By the time he reaches the house, he is in a lather of sweat from his exertions and the extremes of his emotions. For a while, he does not move from that dark wood-paneled hall. He wants company, and he has none. He wants lights. He needs reassurance. But more than anything else, he needs an explanation, for he does not believe in ghosts.
But out on the marshes just now I saw a woman whose form was quite substantial, yet... Oh God, I can barely describe it. The expression on her face. Desperate, yearning malevolence filled me with an indescribable loathing and fear. And yet she had vanished in a way that no human being could possibly manage to do. I did not believe in ghosts.
What other explanation is there?
Hall, staircase, kitchen, scullery, drawing room, sitting room, dining room, study.
Nothing unpleasant. No shades of Miss Havisham, no rubbish piled in corners, no half-starved dogs or cats. A damp, musty, sweet sour smell there is. But is that remarkable in a house situated as is this one? The furniture, good, solid, dark. Books, pictures, bureau, desks, writing tables, bureau, papers in boxes, in bundles, letters, receipts, legal documents, notebooks, papers, all of which he must examine. A huge task, and one which there is little point in starting now. It is too late, and he is too unknown.
How one old woman could have lived day after day, night after night in a house such as this, I could not conceive. I should have gone mad.
He decides to leave the place until the following morning. It will be an hour before Keckwick returns, and if he steps out well, he'll make it back to Criffin Gifford in time to save him from turning out. The causeway is still visible, the roads back are straight, and he cannot possibly lose himself. Imagine him now, striding ahead, small and insignificant in that vast landscape. As he walks, he summons up the image of the black-robed figure, persuades himself that she had not vanished as he had thought, that there must have been some slope or dip into which she had concealed herself, for he does not believe in ghosts. He puts her from his mind, walks on, struck by the absolute indifference of sky and water to his presence. And then, from his reverie, he begins to notice that he cannot see for more than a few yards ahead of him, and that behind him, Marsh House is quite invisible.
A thick, damp sea mist. Damp, clinging, cobwebby, fine and impenetrable. The sea freight Mr. Daly talked of.
He must retrace his steps back to the house and wait until Keckwick comes for him.
The mist was salt, light and pale and moving in front of my eyes all the time. I felt confused, teased by it, as though it were made up of millions of live fingers that clung onto me, hung over me, and then stretched away.
Step by slow step he goes, praying to reach the house, a nightmare walk, until...
Keckwick, over here! Keckwick! Oh no! No! Oh, no! Keckwick! Keckwick!
In fearfulness and dread, he goes about the house, switching on every light he can make work, with the vain hope that their glow might be seen across the misty wasteland.
Every door was open. Every room orderly. Dusty. Bitterly cold, and yet somehow also stifling.
One door is locked.
That's the far end of a passageway that led away from 3 bedrooms on the 2nd floor. There was no lock, no keyhole, no bolt on the outside.
for a threat like that to clear itself. There's no crossing over when a threat's up. Unlucky for you, that was. And then there's no wait for the tide. Awkward place. You'll be finding that out fast enough.
What time is it?
9 on 2.
I wouldn't have expected you to come back for me at this hour. It's very good of you.
I wouldn't have left you over the night. Wouldn't have done that to you.
But what happened to you? How did you manage to be here? How did you get out? I fell into a sort of trance, half sleeping, half waking, rocked by the notion of the path. I knew I had entered some hitherto unimagined realm of consciousness, and there was no going back. That the woman by the graves had been ghostly, I now not believed, no, knew. For certainty lay deep within me. And I began to suspect that the Ponian trap, that same Ponian trap with the child who cried out so terribly and was sucked down by the quicksands, that they too had not been real, not there, present, but ghostly also. What I heard as clearly as I heard the rolling of the cart and the drumming of the pony's hooves, and what I had seen, the woman with the pale, wasted face by the grave of Mrs. Drabno, and again in that old burial ground, I had seen. I would have sworn it on oath. And yet they had been, in some sense that I did not understand, unreal, ghostly. Things that were dead.
That's a great Shakespeare. I've read it once.
Yes.
Because I was more like a project and then I was that's how it is. And then workshop later.
Oh, hello. How are you? Good. How are you? I can't remember. Do you know this show?
I do not. I've never seen it before.
I don't know this show at all.
No.
Yeah.
It's good so far.
Yeah. It's a really tight book.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to figure it out, but I did not sleep that last night. It's a lot.
I think Act 2 will keep you awake.
Oh.
Yeah.
Every time the moment black. It's great.
Yeah.
The attention is just drawn to it. It's like you're not looking at anything else on stage. That was
I don't know his last name. Dave did the lighting design, like, just incredible.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's
just
actually
such
really
a joy
good.
to run.
Actually, I love when you guys did the smoke machine.
Yeah.
The haze just made the lights even more interesting to watch. I understand it's kind of difficult to do in a small theater, but
Well, you know, it like hangs just enough, you know?
yeah. I can't wait for something really spooky to happen behind that screen.
I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about. That's a totally innocent part of the stage. Everything's
And
fine.
so the thing about Keckwick is Cripps saw him like falling into quicksand and drowning.
Yeah, he heard what you heard.
Oh, okay. But
So he
didn't
thought it
see
was
him.
the pony and trap going down into the marshes.
Oh.
Yes, he heard it. Because it was all mist. He couldn't see a foot in front of him.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
It was good though. Like I literally could see like an inch through.
Mm-hmm.
The entire stage was fire.
It's my favorite light cue is that really slow fade into the bluish greenish with all the fog up there.
Like-
Behind him, Marsh is quite invisible.
All my technical work in theater has been in lighting for the most part, and I'm still so bad about noticing little things like
Yeah.
that, like changes in light.
Well, I noticed because I'm running it, and like
Right,
throughout
right.
Tech Week, there were a few cues that I was like changing durations on just to like
Yeah.
tweak a little bit. That was my favorite for sure.
This always happens. Like no matter what production I'm going to, in the first half, I'm like, as soon as the lights go down, I'm like,
Yeah.
I went to go see Two Penny Opera at the National Theatre when I was in London. It was like huge theater, huge sound system, like big ridiculous costumes, and like in the first 10 minutes. Which is like, it's kind of bad for somebody who enjoys theater like in the first 15 minutes.
No, I had a lot more energy for it in my 20s.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even have anything for it in my 20s. But, oh, is it just this weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish we had one more weekend. I don't want to walk away from this one yet.
Yeah, it's always
Other
just doing like
Halloween
one
weekend,
weekend.
you know.
Yeah, like the weekend.
Apparently, like Great Shakes just did this show, and they ran for like 3 weeks or something. But I think
Right,
they
they
closed
did.
last weekend. I think that we're the only one running right now.
No, because I think it was earlier. I think it was earlier this year. Because they're doing Midsummer and then the Woodsman now. But I do remember, yeah, they had the Woman in Black. They were running that.
No, I think it was within the last like month or so. 'Cause I know Katie and Joe were talking about considering going to see it, but they get the two in their heads about their characters to see like other people do those roles right now.
I always liked watching other actors do role, and then I'm just like, no, I wouldn't do that.
I don't know.
It like helps me clarify my choices
Yeah.
in some places, and then sometimes it's like I would always go to like the understudy rehearsal. Like if I had an understudy, like I'd watch the understudy.
I could see the actor, but for Kipps doing all those like 7 different roles, whatever, I feel like that would be tough.
I was actually thinking that it's like, it must be a difficult, like to have just 2 actors on stage doing all the things. How long did you guys rehearse?
They've rehearsed since the first week of September.
Oh.
But we extended tech, so I've been here for 2 weeks. Yeah.
And was there a dialect coach?
Yes.
Yeah, just because the English accents are good. I immediately got Scotland. Like,
Yeah.
that was like pretty quick.
And Joe, who plays like the actor, right? Like the younger one, he's been acting for less than 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah. He went out for SpongeBob that Kevin directed, and Kevin just saw it and cast him as SpongeBob.
Yeah.
And he nailed it. And then he was my Charlie Price when I did Kinky Boots.
Oh, did you direct?
I music directed.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, back to my dark hole.
I'll brace myself the second half.
Right back there if you need anything.
You might not see me at the end just because I might.
I
might
figured
run
I would
out.
say hi to you now, so
Yeah.
we've done our due diligence.
So it's good to see you, and I'll see you in the morning at Phoenix. Too, 'cause
Sure.
I'm definitely
Yeah.
stopping
I'll
in
be
for
there at
coffee.
6:30.
Brilliant. Cheers.
Oh, right.
Like the bear and that outfit and an outfit and an accessory. It's like all in one package price. $60. If the bear's off, it's like 40. So then it's like, if you want to buy all the
Mr. Germain,
Ah, yes.
I trust you are fully recovered after your experience at Mrs. Straveler's funeral.
Thank you, yes, thank you.
No doubt you're wondering why I'm here. You see, I had no idea, I don't know whether you had, of the volume of papers belonging to Mrs. Straveler. Tons of stuff, and most of it, I've no doubt, so much waste. But it will have to be gone through item by item nevertheless. It seems to me that unless I am able to take up residence here in Clifton Gifford for the foreseeable future, that I shall have to have some help.
I cannot offer you help, Mr. Kipps. Oh no.
Well, I wasn't thinking that you would do anything personally, but perhaps you have a young assistant.
Sorry, there is no one. I cannot give any help at all.
Well, then help me to find someone. Surely the town will yield me a young man with a modicum of intelligence and keen to earn a few pounds whom I may take on for the job.
I'm sorry, this is a small place. Young people leave, there are no openings.
But I am offering an opening, albeit temporary.
You will find no one suitable.
Mr. Jerome, what you mean is not that there is no one available. There's no young person or older person, for that matter, could be found. You are backing away from speaking the truth of the matter, which is that I should not find one soul willing to spend any time out to your marsh house, for fear of the stories about that place proving true. For fear of encountering what I have already encountered.
Keckwick came back for you.
Yes. Yes, I was more grateful than I can say.
There's nothing that Keckwick doesn't know about your marsh house.
Do I take it he fetched and carried sometimes for Mrs. Drabler?
She saw no one else, not another.
Another living soul.
There are stories, tales. There's all that nonsense. You can discount most of it.
Oh, of course. But not all.
You saw that woman in the churchyard.
I saw her again. In that old burial ground. Well, I will not be put out by a ghost, or several ghosts, Mr. Jerome. My work has to be done. And I doubt if the woman in black can hold any animosity towards me. I wonder who she was. Is. You see, I hardly know how to refer to her. Mr. Kipps?
Yes.
Mr. Kipps, are you alright?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It would seem you're in a state of emotion.
Yes. I'm sorry. Jerome was terrified.
She yourself.
No, my heart seemed to beat faster, my step to be quicker, all the images more sharply, precisely defined.
Can you go on?
Oh yes, I must.
Can you go on until the end?
Oh yes. Let us go on, let us have done with it, for God's sake.
Mr. Daly?
Mr. Katz! How's things with you?
Very well, I thank you.
Well, and your business?
Oh, Mrs. Drabler's estate? Well, I shall soon have all that in order, though I confess there will be rather more to do than I had anticipated.
You've been around to the house?
Certainly.
Ah.
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm quite enjoying myself. I'm finding the whole thing rather a challenge.
Mr. Katz, you are whistling in the dark. You are a fool to go on with it.
But if you think that I should give up on the job I was sent here to do and turn tail and run, then...
Listen to me, Arthur. I'm not going to fill your head up with a bunch of wicked tales. You'd find those out fast enough if you ask around about the place. Maybe you already have?
No, only hints. And Mr. Jerome turning a little pale.
But you went out there to the house.
I went there, and I had an experience that I shouldn't care to go through again, though I confess I cannot explain it. It would seem to me, Mr. Daly, that I have seen what of a ghost haunts Eel Marsh, a woman in black with a wasted face. Because I have no doubt at all that she is what people would call a ghost, that she was not a real, living, breathing human being. Well, she did me no harm. She neither spoke nor came near me. I did not like her look, and I did not like the power that seemed to emanate from her towards me even less. But I have convinced myself that this is a power that can do nothing more than make me feel afraid. If I go there and I see her again, I am prepared.
And the pony and trap.
So you know of that?
You shouldn't go there.
I'm afraid I'm going.
You shouldn't go there alone.
It would seem I can find no one to come with me.
No, and you will not.
Good God! Mrs. Drablow lived alone in that place for, what was it, 60-odd years? To a ripe old age. She must have come to terms with all the ghosts about the place.
Aye, maybe that's just what she did do. But you're set on it.
I am.
Then take a dog.
I haven't got a dog.
I have. Come, lass. Bring it back when you're done.
Will she come with me?
She'll do what I tell her.
Yeah, what's her name?
Spoiler.
All right then. Well, I'll be very glad of her company, I confess. Thank you. Come, Spider. Come, girl.
The next morning, he heads to the house on a bicycle lent him by his landlord. The little dog Spider bounds behind. The sun is high, and the very air seems purified and more exhilarating.
There they lay, those glittering, beckoning silver marshes. I could hear the mysterious silence, and once again the haunting, strange beauty of it all aroused a response deep within me. I could not run away from that place. I had fallen under some sort of spell of the kind that certain places exude, and it drew me, my longings, my imaginings, my curiosities, my whole spirit towards itself.
He lights fires, airs sheets and blankets, opens up windows and draws up blinds, and sets himself to work in one of the bays of the morning room.
Well, Spider, have you ever seen a more worthless collection of papers? I do believe Mrs. Drablow kept every bill, receipt, and Christmas card she ever had. There's even shopping lists, would you believe?
It was pretty tedious going, but he persevered patiently enough, untying and cursively examining bundle after bundle of worthless old papers before tossing them aside.
Hey, Spider. Spider. Spider, look! Rabbits! Last time I was here, among these graves, I saw a woman. Where is she, Spider? Where is she, girl? In loving memory, something net Humphrey. 1900 something. In love her something, yeah, Drablow. Alright, Spider, come on. Come on, girl.
He returns to the house and to his task. Already the air is turning colder, the sky losing its light. On into the evening he works. Spider is an excellent companion, and he is glad of her gentle breathing, occasional scratching and clattering about in that big, empty house. But his main sensation is one of tedium, and a certain lethargy combined with a desire to finish the job and be back in London with his dear Stella.
Another day or two and we'll be done. It's time for bed. Come on, Spider. Come, girl. Would Mr. Daly let me take you home with me to London? I wonder. You like Stella? I'm not really sure you'd like London now. All right then. Good night now. Good night. What is it, Spider? What does it go?
There's the water of the estuary, lying flat as a mirror with the full moon lying upturned upon it.
But nothing. No one. The slightest of breezes, nothing more.
In the morning, he awakes to a change in the weather. When he looks out, he can hardly see the division between land and water and sky. All is a uniform grey with a low, thick cloud and a drizzle.
I cycled back to Crithen, Spider bounding behind me. There was a letter from Stella, filled with regret at my absence and pride in my responsibility. I had the landlord's wife refill my hamper, purchased a good, strong torch, and with the letter warming my inside pocket, I cycled back, whistling as I went.
On into the day, he continues his work, clearing paper after paper, and then, after supper, as a diversion, begins to read some letters that he has found.
They were dated between a February of about 60 years ago and the summer of the following year. At first, they were sent from the manor house of a village some 20 miles from here, and then later from a lodge in Scotland. All were addressed to my dear, or dearest Alice, and signed for the most part J, but occasionally Jeanette. The writer, a young woman and apparently a relative of Mrs. Stradlow's, was unmarried and with child. At first she was living at home with her parents, and then later she was sent away.
In Scotland, the son is born to her, and she writes of him with a desperate, clinging affection. Pressure is being put on her to give up the child for adoption. She refuses, saying over and over again that they will never be parted.
He is mine. Why should I not have what is mine? He shall not go to strangers. I shall kill us both before I let him go.
And then the tone changes.
What else can I do? I'm quite helpless. If you and Morgan are to have him, I shall mind it less. I suppose it must be.
The last letter of all is written in a very small, cramped hand.
Love him. Take care of him as your own. But he is mine. Mine. He can never be yours. Oh, forgive me. I think my heart will break. Jane.
In the same packet is a simple document declaring that Nathaniel Pearston, infant son of Jeanette Humphrey, is become by adoption of Morgan Thomas Drablow, Eelmarsh House, Criffin Gifford, and of his wife, Alice.
What is it, Spider? What is it? the only way out was through the door I had come through, and no one had passed me.
It is a child's nursery. A bed in one corner, all made up and complete with pillows, sheets, and counterpane. Beside it, on the table, a tiny wooden horse and a nightlight. In the chest of drawers are clothes, underclothes, day clothes, formal clothes, play clothes. Clothes for a small boy of 6 or 7. Beautiful, well-made clothes, in the style of 60 years or more ago. And toys, most neatly and meticulously ordered and cared for. Lead soldiers arranged in regiments, a farm set out with barns and fences, a model ship, complete with masts and sails of linen, a whip, a spinning top, ludo, palma, draughts and chess, a monkey made of leather, a cat of wool, a furry bear, a bald doll with a china head and a sailor suit, a miniature trumpet, a painted musical box from Switzerland, and a block doll with raggedy arms and legs.
There was nothing here to frighten or harm me. These things, they must have been here half a century, and yet they might have been played with this afternoon. I felt this emptiness, a curious air of sadness, so that I myself felt a desolation, a grief in my own heart. How can I explain it? I cannot. But I remember it as I felt it. Spider, what is it, girl? What is it?
Before he can restrain her, she is off,
Spider!
as though after a hare, running low and fast out of the house and away across the marshes.
Spider! Spider, come back! Spider, come back!
She stands amazed as bewildered as Spider's small form recedes into the great open expanse, and then he runs as he has never run before. She is floundering in the mud, fighting to retain her balance from the pool beneath her feet. She is yelping loudly.
Spider!
Still just visible.
Don't worry, Spider, I'm coming!
Then he too begins to feel the stickiness and unsteadiness of the ground as it becomes boggier.
Stay still, Spider, as still as you can.
He is obliged to wade rather than walk.
Have courage, I'm coming.
The little dog can scarcely hold up. Her legs and half her body have disappeared beneath the whirling, sucking board, and a pointed head is held up in the air as she struggles and yells.
Keep trying, Spider, keep trying! Good girl, good girl!
He grabs her neck just as the last of her body sinks. He holds and strains with a strength born of terror. He feels the grip on the slippery wet fur give. The dog begins to slide away, and then with a huge last effort, he hurls his body back onto fur.
Oh, Spider. Oh, Spider. Thank God. Thank God.
No. You take care now.
I'm better. I'm all right.
I couldn't sleep. I kept waking. I had you on my mind. It began to unsettle me.
What time is it? It must be quite early in the morning. I've become confused.
Early enough. As I said, I kept waking. Had you on my mind.
How strange.
Is it? Not strange as it seems to me. Not strange at all.
No.
Good job, it came when I did.
Yes. Yes, I'm very grateful. I'm extremely glad to see you, Mr. Daly.
People have drowned on that marsh before now.
Yes. Yes, I know that now. I felt that I was being hauled under, and the dog with me. Spider! Spider!
She's here! She's here! She'll do. Now, when you've come to a bit more, you better grab what you need and we'll be off.
Off!
Aye. I came to see how you were faring in this godforsaken place. I have seen. You better come home with me and recover yourself.
Yes. Yes, I shall gather my things. I shan't be long. Oh, dear God in heaven.
Come on in, Arthur, in you get. We'll be home in no time. Spider, come on now. Up. Good lass.
Nathaniel Bradley, age 6 years, cause of death, drowned. Rose John, nursing, cause of death, drowned. Jeanette Eliza Humphrey, spinster, age 36, cause of death, heart failure.
Well, you've come a long way since the night I met you on the late train.
That feels like 100 years ago.
You've gone through some rough seas.
Was there something I still did not see? Had I stayed there any longer, would I have encountered yet more horrors?
That I cannot tell.
But you could tell me something. Come. We're a great deal away from the place now, and my nerves are quite steady again. I must know! It can't hurt me now.
Not you, no. Not you, Mary.
What are you holding back?
You, Arthur, will be away from here tomorrow or the next day. You, if you're lucky, will neither have to see nor hear nor know of anything to do with that damned place again. The rest of us have to stay. We've to live with it.
With what? Stories? Rumours? with the sides of that woman in black from time to time with what?
With whatever will surely follow, sometime or other. Griffin Gifford has dealt with that for 50 years. It's changed people, but don't speak of it. You found that out. Those who suffered worse, say Lease, Jerome, Keckwick. Jeanette Humphrey gave up her child, the boy, to her sister Alice Drablow and Alice's husband because she'd no choice. First she stayed away, hundreds of miles away. But in the end, the pain of being parted from him instead of Hazen grew worse, and she returned to Griffin. She got rooms in the town, she'd no money. She took in sewing, acted as a companion to a lady. First, apparently, Alice Drablow wouldn't let her see the boy at all. And when Jeanette became so distressed that she threatened violence, her sister relented just so far. Jeanette could visit him very occasionally, but never disclose who she was, or see him alone, or let him know that she had any relationship to him. No one ever foresaw that he would grow to look so like her, nor the natural affinity between them that would grow out. He began to be more attached, and as he did, he became colder to Alice Drablow. Jeanette planned to take him away. That much I do know. Before she could do so, the accident happened, just as you heard. The boy, the nursemaid, the pony, trap, and its driver, Keckwick. Keckwick's father. Then there was the boy's little dog, too. That's a treacherous place, as you found out to your cost. The sea frets sweep across the marshes suddenly. The quicksands are hidden.
So they all drowned.
Aye. And Jeanette was waiting back at the house, watching at an upper window, waiting for them to return. The bodies were recovered, but they left the pony and trap. It was held too fast by the mud. From that day, Jeanette Humphrey began to go mad.
Was there any wonder?
No, mad with grief, mad with anger, and a desire for revenge. She blamed her sister for letting them go out that day, but it was no one's fault. The mist comes without a warning,
Out of a clear sky.
whether because of her loss or madness or grief or what. She also began to contract a disease which caused her to begin to waste away. The flesh shrank from her bones, the colour drained from her. She looked like a walking skeleton, a living spectre. Children were terrified of her. She died eventually. She died in hatred and in misery. And as soon as ever she died, the hauntings began.
Well, Mrs. Drablow was dead. Then, surely the whole matter would be laid to rest.
And whenever she's been seen, in the graveyard, on the marsh, in the streets of a town, however briefly, and whoever by, there has been one sure and certain result.
Yes?
In some violent or dreadful circumstance, a child has died.
What? You mean by accident?
By accident or the whiskey. But sometimes an illness which struck them down in a day or night or less.
You mean any child? A child of the town?
Any child. Jerome's child.
Well, surely. I mean, children sometimes do die.
Aye, they do.
And is there anything more than chance to connect their deaths with the appearance of that woman?
You may find it hard to believe. You may doubt it.
Well,
We know.
I do not doubt, Mr. Daly.
You may find it hard to believe. You may doubt it.
Well,
We know.
I do not doubt, Mr. Daly.
We know.
I do not doubt, Mr. Daly.
We know.
I do not doubt.
We
And now it's your turn. I do not doubt, Mr. Daly.
Stella! There was only the last thing left to tell. Within a few weeks, Stella and I were married, and a little over a year later, she gave birth to our child, a son, whom we called Joseph Arthur Samuel, and Mr. Samuel Daly was his godfather. I never thought of the past. I was filled with joy and contentment in my life. I was in a particularly peaceful, happy frame of mind one Sunday afternoon the following summer. Stella and I had gone to a large park about 10 miles or so outside London, and there was a festive, holiday air about the place. There was a lake, a bandstand, stalls selling ices and fruits. Families strolled in the sunshine, and children tumbled on the grass. Stella and I walked happily, with little Joseph taking a few unsteady steps, holding onto our hands. One of the attractions on offer was a pony and trap upon which rides could be taken, and little Joseph gestured towards it excitedly. So, because there was only room for two, Stella took Joseph, and I stood, watching them bowl merrily down the ride. After a while, they went away out of sight around the bend, and I began to look idly about me at the other enjoyments of the afternoon. And then, quite suddenly, I saw her. No, you can't! No! Our baby son had been thrown clear against another tree. He lay crumpled on the grass below, dead. And 10 months later, Stella, too, died of her terrible injuries. I had seen the ghost of Jeanette Humphrey, and she had had her revenge. You asked for my story, and I have told it. Enough.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, it's done then, do you think? Will it all now be laid to rest?
I pray that it will be. I thank you for your trouble, your effort, and your enthusiasm, your emotion just now. It's as if I walked myself.
I imagined my own child.
Yes. I pray that when we perform it before an audience at last, it will be done with.
By the way, who was she?
I beg your pardon?
You're surprised, Mr. Kipps. The actress, she was incredible. Where did you find her?
I'm afraid I don't understand.
You're surprised, Mr. Kipps. The surprise you found for me?
My surprise was that I learned my words.
Yes, you learned them expertly, but the woman you found, the actress, the woman in black, where did you find her? You organised it as a complete surprise. You had her come in here and go through her part. She, a young woman, with the wasted face. She,
A young woman.
is there anything the matter? You look unwell.
I did not see a young woman.
I was like leaning forward, like Lewis is like scared.